a show that tackles the big issues affecting the BVI and the rest of the Caribbean. Searches for answers to today's big questions and gives viewers a unique perspective on developing stories. Follow the big story with me, Kathy Richards, only on JTV. This is the big story. I'm Kathy Richards. I want to thank you so much for joining us for Elections of 2023 edition. In studio with me today is a man that I have a great lot of respect for, having observed him over the years in the House of Assembly as a district representative. I was not fortunate, Honorable Fraser, to be in this territory while you were in government, in the times that you would have served as minister and the likes. But I have grown to respect you so much, and I see you as a man of wisdom. I want to thank you and welcome you to the big story.
Thank you, Kathy. It's funny that you asked me, do I know how to get here? And I had to remind you that I'm the one who christened the studio. And I learned from them. From then, I know that you had some respect for me when you asked me to come to be the first guest. And I did. I obliged, and I was happy to do so.
Awesome. And it's not until you would have said that you just really came back to memory and said, wow, yes,
there's been so many stories you've done since then, so you wouldn't remember.
Well, Honorable Fraser, we are here at this juncture again in the life of the territory where we go to the poll to decide on a government. There is no doubt that the last term was one that the territory would have not experienced before, nothing like it in the past. You have always been the one on the opposition. You stand alone when you have to. Up until the end, you were virtually, literally standing alone. Honorable Malone at a point stepped over back to give you some company, but he quickly ran back and left you as a lone stander. Let's first start off with an overview following elections of 2019.
Kathy, I'm on the campaign trail right now, and I launched my campaign on Saturday. People might have thought it was late, but when I checked the calendar, I realized that I'm earlier than I was last time. Oh. Last time the elections were 25th February, and I launched on the 9th of February. This time the elections are 24th April, and I launched 1st April, so I'm ahead. But there's one thing I'm learning when I get on the campaign trail that I have to constantly remember. I remind people that this is my 7th time doing this, and there's nothing normal about the situation in the territory when it comes to this election. I have to remind them, people continue to believe that it's business as usual. The country is in a position that it has never been in. It is one that we can't afford for it to stay in, and it is one that we can't afford for it to get any worse. And in order to move it from where it is, we have to move from the caretakership that this government is in right now to one that can act to get it out. And you're going to need a lot of experience to get it out of that situation. Right now, we did what we had to do in the interim to prevent the British government from suspending our constitution and imposing direct rule. And that was my greatest fear. When you talk about me standing alone in the opposition, I did what I had to do in order to see this country maintain its democracy. It meant so much to me. I did what I had to do. And I stood in the opposition. The governor, when I swore in as leader of the opposition, he said, thank you, Honorable Fraser, for being the leader of the opposition. I said, it's my pleasure, it's my country. I will do it for my country, and I've done it. Now there's a different era on our hand. We're going into a new election, and I'm making sure that I'll be a part of the next government. I told everyone on the trail, we will not have a single party government.
Why not?
2 reasons. One, I don't see any particular party out there that's capable of winning a majority of the seats. The other one is, we have just had to abandon the concept of a single party government in order to prove to the British government our seriousness of executing the recommendations of the Commission of Inquiry. we had to do it. We had to do it because the particular government that was in place at the time was the one that caused the mess that we're in. So that was foregone. That had to happen. But the other major reason right now is that we're not going to have a single party government because there's no single party out there with the wherewithal. The one party out there that is believing in and trying to instill in people's mind that they're capable of doing it is the Virgin Islands Party. And I'm telling people here and now, and I told them before, and I continue to tell them, it'll be the single biggest mistake that they will have made if they go to the polls and elect the Virgin Islands Party with a majority.
Why?
Because the British government's not going to see it favorable. That's the same party that had to abandon the concept. How could you expect that overnight you'll be acceptable? It's not going to happen.
It's a cause to ponder and think. When we look at things, we saw what would have happened that would have caused it's not just only the Commission of Inquiry that would have caused the formation of a unity government, but more so the arrest of the premier of the territory, Jahphix, at the time, that would have shifted that old system. Jahphix is not in the play per se. He is no longer here. He's no longer contested in any way. You have a team, and we're looking here at the Virgin Islands Party 13-man team. We're looking at this team. Let's assess that party as we're talking about them from the head down.
Well, you're pretending as if, are you playing devil's advocate or what? But they are all minions of Jahphix. They were all there with him. Tell me one who wasn't with him. They were right there with him. They're minions of him. And who's to say that he's not still pushing the buttons? So, I'm not in intelligence. The British government has far more intelligence and greater intelligence than you and I do. They know what's going on. We don't. But as far as I can see, using my intellect, and you do the same, and you tell me what you think. You don't have to say it now. I'm not going to say it now, but everyone can see they were there. You can't tell me that you were there and expect their modus operandi is to expect the public to believe that April 28th didn't happen. I think the best thing that they can do is speak about April 28th and explain to the people what happened, how they got there, and their role in all this. I've seen, for instance, my opponent. My opponent was Jahphix's advisor. Kathy, if I'm your advisor, you go outside that door and you do something stupid. I have some role to play in that. I had some role to play in that. I'm your advisor. You didn't turn stupid as soon as you opened the door. You were stupid when you were in the room. And stupid as you and I, we were together. We talk. So it says talk from the top down. The premier. Very intelligent fellow. I like him because he has that, he's a revolutionary. He believes in self-determination. He believes that in the rights of the individual. He believes that people should have the right to self-determination. And I like him for that. I've never seen another leader who has expounded those qualities as he has. And I would go along with him in the battle for self-determination because he understands it. But he lacks the maturity.
To be premier.
Well, he was premier, but to be the next premier, yes. But first he has to win the seat in his constituency before he starts thinking about being the premier again. And this country can't afford that. He's done what he was supposed to do, which was keep the government in our hands for as long as possible. And he did that. The House was dissolved on March 12th. It couldn't go any further than that. I've never seen anyone run the clock as well as he did. He ran the clock. And it was good for him because he got every day that he was premier is another day under his belt. I have no problems with that whatsoever. We spoke. I can say without fear of contradiction that he has the greatest admiration for me and the way I've conducted myself in the house and the way we got along. But not this time. We need to move the dial. and only experience going to move the dial at this stage.
Along with Honorable Natalia Whitley, there are others who would have sat in the cabinet under the Andrew Foy administration. That's Honorable Carvin Malone, Honorable Vincent Whitley, and Honorable Kai Raymond.
Exactly.
Yes. So let me hear your thoughts on them. You're always very open to speak how you feel about individuals.
Again, they're all new people. They came into the House and they just went along with the program. They haven't done anything revolutionary in the House because they were learning. And as far as I am concerned, they're still new people. This country needs people who can actually command the respect of the public service, command the respect of the governor and the people at the far and common level. You don't want people who's going into a room timid and sitting there waiting to hear what someone has to say before they say something. I've got the perfect example of what I'm talking about to give you. For instance, we haven't touched the order in council regarding the suspension of the Constitution and the direct rule imposition. But we know it's there, and I'm sure we'll get to it in details. We have a Constitutional Review Commission that's out there that has done their work as far as part of their work as far as collecting evidence and gathering information from the public. But they have to prepare a report, and that report has to come to the House of Assembly for debate. And after it's debated, accepted, I hope, then in order for it to make its way into the Constitution, it has to be negotiated with with the British government. As a matter of fact, they will appoint some individuals to act on their behalf. The last time they had a Mr. Ian Henry, I understand that he did Anguilla not so long ago, but it's possible that he'll come back again. So that has to be negotiated. In order to negotiate it, a team will be selected from among the membership of the House of Assembly. Now, among that team, we did it in 2007. I was a member of that team that went, negotiating team in 2007. So here's what I learned then. The chief minister at the time selected his team. He selected a team that comprised members of the House of Assembly, but only the government side. The leader of the opposition at the time, who was Ralph O'Neill, stated that he said to him, Chief Minister at the time, the British government will frown upon you if you go to the UK with a negotiating team that's comprised of only members of the government and not the opposition, leaving out the opposition. So the Chief Minister went back and he listened to him, went back and he changed the team composition to include Ralph O'Neill and myself, two members from the opposition. When we were leaving, after we had done our meetings here in the Virgin Islands, we had about 2 sessions here in the Virgin Islands with the UK team. I think it's 2. It could have been 3, but it's no more. It's no more than 3 and no less than 2. I said to the Chief Minister, we need to have a meeting. The government and the opposition need to have a meeting because we're not on the same page. And if we're not on the same page when we leave here, when we get to the UK, we will not be on the same page. And he didn't have the meeting. We went to the UK and we were not on the same page. So we got to the UK and the Chief Minister, who is the person leading the charge and the delegation and everything, we went to the London House and we decided who is going to speak in the meeting with the minister. The Chief Minister made his selection. Of course, he was one going to speak. And I think he had the leader of the Constitutional Review Commission, and I think the Attorney General. Those 3 people were supposed to speak. So the Minister for Overseas Territories, or the minister responsible for the subject, he spoke, opened the meeting and spoke. And then he extended the invitation to the Chief Minister to speak. Chief Minister spoke. And when the Chief Minister was finished, the minister called on the Leader of the Opposition. Leader of the Opposition wasn't expecting to speak. He didn't prepare to speak. So I was sitting next to him. I had to nudge him to let him know, hey, man, he wants you to talk. When he opened his mouth and spoke, the dynamics in the room shifted. It shifted. That's experience. He wasn't prepared. He didn't come with a prepared speech because he wasn't expected to speak. But when he opened his mouth and started to speak, the minister took note. We went there looking for some things. One of them was that the house be paroled each year. He got it. They fought tooth and nail against us for having the house paroled because, in that sitting, that session, now that particular house, it had one session. It started 2011 and it ended 2015. One session. Now you see we got fifth session, fourth session, third session, and all that. That's what the leader of the opposition got done. But I'm going back to the point where there's a thing called experience. When we were negotiating the Constitution, each point that we brought up as a point that we would like to see our country have, such as something like having a civil service under the control of a minister. Of course, it would be the chief minister. No. Having the police under the control of a minister. No. So why can't we have it if Bermuda has it? Oh, Bermuda was an aberration. We don't want to hear it come up again. Don't even mention it. So now you tell me, that was 2007. It's now 17 and 6, 16 years later.
That's what we want.
We go in there and we're telling them in no uncertain terms, we want it. It's 16 years hence. Now, if you're a new person, you walking in there, the guy said, no, this is the first time you're hearing it, so it's new to you. I'm just bringing this up as one of the many examples that you're going to be faced with if you send new people there. So I'm saying to you that there is no time that I have been in office or around politics that I have seen it more crucial than this. And we need to move the dial because the United Nations Charter for Decolonization has mandated that by the year 2030, all these colonies should be having the right to self-determination. We are nowhere being prepared for it, much less to be prepared for it. That's one of my objectives. One of my objectives is to force that topic to be a part of our curriculum so that our students can start learning what it means to have self-determination, what independence means.
Yeah.
I'm not picking on you, Kathy.
That's okay.
You're from Guyana. So I'm going to use Guyana as an example.
That's okay.
Guyana has been independent for almost 60 years. There's nowhere in the world you could have been as advanced as we are 60 years ago. But you took it. You did. You became independent. Did you ever look back? Did you ever look back to talk about becoming a colony again? No, you advanced to becoming a republic. And you're just moving leaps and bounds. Jamaica was the first, followed by Trinidad and Tobago, then Barbados, then I think maybe you, and then Bahamas and Antigua, St. Kitts, Nevis, and St. Lucia, St. Vincent. Dominica has been a republic ever since. And here we are. We are, if you look in the BVI in the Virgin Islands, you're going to see every denomination, every nationality right here. And it's a reason. But we need to educate our people. And I think that those are the kind of reasons that I think if I was to stand down, I'll be depriving this country of an asset that it is so in dire need of right at this particular time.
Tell me what the composition of the next cabinet should look like based on the persons that we have currently putting themselves up there for office.
Kathy, there's one thing I've learned over the years that I've been running for public office, and even I didn't understand it before because no one has ever explained it to me. I go into a campaign with a group of people, and never once have I seen the leader of that political party designate any individual for any particular position. Neither have I heard any of the individuals in running talk about what position they want when they get elected. If they did, it was a recipe for disaster. Because you can't sit next to me tell me you want to be a minister. Well, and I'm here trying to promote you to get elected. I want to be a minister too. So I don't. If that's your aim and that's your aspiration, that's your goal, and you're up there touting it, well, I'm not going to help you. So we don't talk about those things. What the composition, the leader of the party is not going to tell his members, if we get elected, well, I'm going to nominate you to be the Minister of Natural Resources and Labor. I'm going to designate him for Communication and Works and so on and so forth. The only time the only sense people get of this is if you go into an election and you're the incumbent government. It is almost always expected that the ministers, if they get elected, they will resume the position that they have. Sometimes it may not happen, but that's what happens. So I will not sit here and venture to say what.
You're such a smart guy.
No, it's not. I also will not sit here and talk about who will be what and who won't be the other, because it's just a recipe for disaster. Let's go in there and try to win an election. My main objective, Kathy, I got two main objectives. One, the first and top priority is for me to win my seat in the district. That's number one. Number two is to make sure that the Virgin Islands Party doesn't get a majority to say that they're going to form a government, because that is their recipe, another recipe for disaster. And I can't go through that again. I've been through it. I don't feel like I need to go through it again.
So what's the process are you engaging to ensure that that does not happen?
Well, as you have seen, Progressives United, which I am the member of Progressives United Party.
You are a member of Progressives?
Progressives United.
Progressives
United.
Yes,
that's my party.
Yes.
So what happened is that I've had discussions with the chairman of Progressive Virgin Islands Movement.
Yeah.
I've had discussions with the same chairman of the National Democratic Party. I've had the chairman of Progressive Virgin Islands Movement make a presentation during my launch.
Yeah.
I didn't have the chairman of the National Democratic Party at my launch, because he has a candidate in my district.
And your words to that was, I'll take care of him. We heard that.
Yeah, right. I don't know what you heard. Sometimes you don't remember what you said too. But yeah, I didn't have him there. But I think we all three of us understands that that's the elephant in the room. We got to do something about it, because if he stay there long enough and he defecate, you know what, an elephant got a lot of stuff you spread over the floor. Got to get that elephant out of the room. And the elephant in the room is the Virgin Islands Party.
Okay. All right. Well, so much for that aspect of it. Just recently, I overheard a conversation surrounding Honorable Julian Fraser, and what he would have done over the many years that he would have been in the House of Assembly. But this one whisper came up and said, we can never forget Bywater and Julian Fraser. Should persons forget Bywater and Julian
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Bywater is right now. What's wrong with Bywater? Somebody should tell me what's wrong with Bywater, and I'll debunk it right away. When Bywater came in, by the way, I was deprived of the opportunity to put Bywater up and running before I left office in 2011.
Why? How come?
Because the then chief minister took the project from me, and he had it sitting in his office for 1 full year before he brought it forward to the cabinet. So in other words, from 2010 to 2011, when he brought it forward, if I was allowed to bring it forward in 2010, that project would have been up and running before I left office. The NDP would not have been around to say that they're the ones who put it to run. And also, another thing about that project, in all our negotiations with Bywater, it was always understood that Bywater had the wherewithal to finance that project themselves. No government involvement whatsoever. That was understood. That's our contract. When I heard that that government guaranteed a loan for Bywater, that meant that Bywater defaulted. If they needed government to guarantee the loan, it defaulted. Government had $0 invested in that project, none. We had nothing invested in that project. Only thing we did, excuse me, was to give the land for the use of the plant. So if you default, go ahead, go and walk. If it was so bad, that was number one opportunity for them to tell Bywater, take a hike. But it didn't. Okay, they commissioned the plant somewhere in 2013. By 2015 or somewhere, 14 or somewhere around there, they sold the plant to Seven Seas. If it was so bad, why did you sell it? If it was so bad, and what they called bad is that they said the money was leaving the country. Money was leaving the country. Why not buy it locally? The government could have bought it. I understood that while I was there, I understood that the entire investment from Bywater would have been $45 million. And for you, Kathy, you know that $45 million is a drop in the bucket for government. If government could walk into the Social Security and take out $40 million and give it away. No commitment, just tell Social Security I want $40 million. It's not a loan, it's a grant, and they give it away. They couldn't take $45 million and purchase the plant? Or all the people in the territory who has a water plant and has an interest in water plant could have bought it too, just the same. But they didn't. So I don't understand the argument. What I can tell you is that plant is producing the water in this territory that we need. But we can't get it because the government failed, government after government has failed to distribute the water. The water is it's up in Sabbath Hill. In some cases, it can't get to Sabbath Hill because the two reservoirs in Sabbath Hill are overflowing. And there's nowhere to put the water. But the bad news is that government has to pay for it anyway. Whether they use it or they don't use it, they have to pay for it. And it was written that way for a reason. Because government...
I think that's the problem that people are seeing.
But people are seeing that as a problem. Where's the problem? The problem is the government, the sitting government. The sitting government is the problem. Why are you paying for water? You need water. People need. It's not as if everyone is their house is flush with water. They don't need it. They're just sitting there and they don't need it. The people are waiting for the water. In my district, the water is being rationed a couple hours a day. Sometimes no water at all per day. So get the water to the people. And the reason it was written that way is because government has this nasty habit of ignoring people and abandoning them, just like the sewage treatment plant, and I'm not losing the point, just like a sewage treatment plant that's been sitting there since 2017, 6 years, non-functional, dumping raw sewage in the water, and you know what happens? People eat the shellfish, the lobster, the crab, the conch, E. coli, all kind of diseases, and the people are not complaining about that at all. I bring it up time and time again. Government would do the same thing with the water plant. Just let the people sit there with the water. I can't use the water because I have a broken pipe. I can't use the water because I have a broken pump. Those are not excuses that are acceptable. People need the water. Get the water to the people. So they're paying for the water, even though they're not using it. Government is paying $27 million a year for water. $27 million a year for water. And they collect $3.5 million. Where is the rest of the water? A lot of it is going into the ground. Some of it people are stealing, and the rest of it is sitting up at Parakeeta Bay that they're paying for without using it. Those are the kind of things that couldn't happen. Reason I went and I got those people to come here, Kathy, is because we had a plant in Borges Bay. The plant belonged to government. It was managed and run by another company, by a local company, local foreign company. The plant was in shambles, Kathy. It was in shambles. When they gave us the key and we took the plant, we had to rebuild that plant from scratch. It was in shambles. And it's not as if we took the plant from them. They gave it to us. When they told us about the plant, I offered them $1 million to refurbish the plant. They didn't take it. So we were in a position, a D if you do, D if you don't position. And I'm not one to sit around and say, we have a problem. I'm one to sit around and say, we got a problem, we're going to fix it, and I'm going to fix it. So we went ahead and we fixed the problem. So I don't see...
What was the fix?
Total fix. It's still, the proof is there. It's producing water, and they're not taking it.
So what would have been different? You said you weren't afforded the opportunity to put it in force. What would have been the difference that if you had the opportunity to make it work?
I would have had a year
Uh-huh.
to build a distribution system, which these people have had how many years now? 10 plus 16 years to build a distribution, to rebuild the distribution system. The same way I was able to go and get a brand new plant, I would have rebuilt the distribution system. These people have done nothing. The same water lines that were flowing water, bringing water. And as a matter of fact, there are 2 reservoirs at Sabbath Hill. Bywater put in one of those reservoirs. They fixed the old one and put in a new one. So you see a benefit to government. It's free of charge, no cost to government. So you can see that the infrastructure was on its way to being completed. Would have had new pipes, properly sized pipes, proper material pipes, pumps. They would have had the proper pumps in place to get the water from Sabbath Hill to Hannah Hill to Bruce Bay to King Garden Bay. We don't have that right now. And this is 16 years hence, Kathy. Go figure.
Do you think we will ever get it right?
We will. We will, because with me in a government, there are things that I know we need that we will get right. One, airport. Water is, I know the system. The government is cheating the people right now with that same reservoir, that same water plant at Paraquita Bay. That Bywater plant was placed there to supply water to the western side of the island, meaning from Paraquita Bay down to Cox Heath, Parkwood Pond, if you may, Bruce Bay, King Garden Bay. And there was another plant at Bar Bay, locally owned, that was commissioned before we signed the contract with Bywater, we signed a contract with Ocean Conversion for that Bar Bay plant. And the purpose for that plant was to supply water on the eastern end, Eastern Longlook, Greenland, those places, Balsam Gut. In order to get water to the Balsam Gut reservoir, they need a pump in Greenland. The pump was there. That's a system. The system included the pump. But government, the pumps invariably, the pumps break down. They don't get proper maintenance. When they break down, the people suffer. And invariably, this one break down, the pump in Greenland break down. So these guys have figured out, government has figured out that if we take the water from the Sabbath Hill Reservoir, we can get it to go up to the Balsam Gut Reservoir without a pump. But you know how the water get from Paraquita Bay to Sabbath Hill? Bywater pump it up there. Bywater has a pump that pumps the water up to Sabbath Hill. So what they're doing is that they're depriving the people of the western side of that water that they're sending up to Sabbath Hill. And they're looking good by supplying water in Sabbath Hill by not doing what they're supposed to do. I don't know what the plant in Bar Bay is doing because they're not supplying water in Sabbath Hill as they should. But I'm just trying to show you that a lack of knowledge of the system is what's causing us to be in the mess that we're in. And you ask a question, if I'm in the government, those kind of problems can't continue to exist. I will not allow that to happen. Even though, my words about our system is that we have a legal dictatorship, and the premier, whoever he is this dictator. It's legal, it's the law. That's the way the Constitution is written. He does what he's under the privileges and the rights that he has under the Constitution. He's doing what he's doing. But this is a guy who decides that he's going to tighten the screws on his ministers, or he's going to allow them to do their work. And if you have a prime minister, a premier who is insecure, it could be a situation where these kind of things are allowed to fester. If you have ministers who are incompetent, it could be a situation where these things are allowed to fester. But I know the system. That water system, I know it at the back of my hand. I know what the problems are. I know what the solutions are. Sitting around here, everybody in the Virgin Islands are experts at everything. They can do everything until you call on them to do something. And then, I went to a dealer the other day, I meaning a friend of mine. Don't say I did it, a friend of mine. People like, I use these anecdotes and all the rest of it all the time. And he told the dealer he wants a car, a particular vehicle. The dealer said to him, listen, Joe, I have absolutely no problems getting that vehicle for you. But the question is, Joe, who's going to fix it? So you see, you can't get the vehicle you want because there's nobody around to fix it. You got to go to, not even Puerto Rico has these kind of experts who come in and fix your vehicles. You got to get it from all over the place. So I learned when that plant in Bargos break down one time and that we needed a simple little valve. And there was nobody in their whole entire toolkit to find that valve. They couldn't even diagnose the problem, what was wrong. We had to call a guy in from Connecticut to come to Tortola to fix it. So those kind of problems we have here in this territory, and we have to make sure that you have the freedom to bring the right people in to do what you need. Sizing a pump is one thing. Buying the right pump is another.
Another thing. To make sure that you have the resources to deal with it when
exactly
the need arises.
The water lines that we put into the ground, they break up. Why? Is the pressure properly regulated? Do you have the expertise to do this? These are the kind of things that we have to, we got to have the courage to get the people in. You're going to get criticized. A guy like me, oh God, they constantly criticize me, taking money out of the country and all the rest of it. No, I'm not taking money out of the country. I'm serving my people. My people complain that they don't have this. I'm going to make sure they get it. We got an incinerator down in Parkwood Pond. 2 years out of commission, burning garbage in the hillside.
And I think there were some monies that were expended to get certain things in that has not arrived as yet.
Kathy, if you sit where I sat, you would have heard that so many times that you want to regurgitate. I don't believe a word that they say. I had a minister get up trying to explain to us how this panel is coming, how the scrubber is coming. The scrubber is coming. He went this place to discuss it with the manufacturer, and they're working on it and all the rest of it. Even before he sat down, the premier got up and said, I'll tell you the truth about this scrubber. The company gone out of business. While the minister, they're telling us all this nonsense, the premier couldn't take it anymore. He got up and said, the actual truth about this scrubber, you're not going to get it because the company gone out of business. I've been hearing about that scrubber since 2007 when the first minister installed that incinerator, that the scrubber is coming, because it's a condition of purchase that we get a scrubber. Mm-hmm. But nobody has been able to get this scrubber. But beyond that, right now there's some electrical panel that's gone bad for 2 years. And we sit here as people, and we're not outraged to the point where we could tell the Virgin Islands Party, when you come, when time for election come, don't come. Don't come. I told every single one of those members of the Virgin Islands Party, everyone, individually and collectively, when they came into the House of Assembly, I said, let me tell you guys something. If you don't fix the problems in this country, don't go back to the people and ask them for their vote to get you back here. I told them, it's a condition.
But these same issues that we talk about, while a panel may have gone bad over the past 2 years and still not here, these problems existed even before the Virgin Islands this recent Virgin Islands Party. We had the same issues with waste management in the NDP administration. We had the same issues in the previous VIP administration, of which you were a part of at that time. The issues continues, and one thing we are on the side crying out about the health of the territory, and it seems not to be one of the major priorities, because if you're not healthy, you cannot do what you're supposed to do to advance your territory. It's just like cleaning your yard. You can't expect all the garbage to pile up but still walk out and your shoes remain clean and nice and you smell good. So the issue seems to be that of prioritizing.
Yes, and as you said, these issues have been around, but each administration that came in, they got elected because they promised the people that they're going to fix them. It's only because of that broken issue you got elected. And you promised me that you're going to fix it. I was fed up with it the way it was. Here comes you telling me I'm going to fix it. Of course, that's what I want. You promised me? Okay, here you are, you got the government. And I said to you, if you haven't fixed it, don't go back to the people. Let somebody else go back and tell them the same lie, maybe whatever you want to call it, but you have to fix it. And this thing that you're talking about is what I want to hear and what I want to see. I want to see outrage about the inability to solve a problem. We have also, Kathy, since 2017, the destruction caused by Hurricane Irma, vividly, evidence is out there. It's about high time. That's another priority of mine, that we restore this territory to pre-Irma conditions. At least restore it. And you would be surprised if you take a good look at the territory the way it is now. I want you to look at everything. And we restore it back to pre-Irma condition, even though that is 6 years ago. You will be surprised the difference that you will be seeing. Let me name it. If I send you now, right now, where's the Ministry of Natural Resources? Where does the Minister for Natural Resources sit? Yeah, you see, you got to look up. Don't answer me.
I know
you don't know.
I know where the
you
ministry
don't know.
is, but I don't know where he sits.
Don't go searching. Where does the Minister for Communication work sit?
I can't say.
Okay, good. Where does the Minister for Education sit?
Okay, we turn the interview around.
No, I'm not. I'm looking at you, but I'm talking to the people.
Yes.
I'm talking to the people. They have the same problem.
Yeah.
They might know where the premier sits because you hear about this Cutlass building. I don't know how many people know where it is. But the point I'm making is that out of Irma came this nonsense, this confusion.
Yes, offices all around.
All over the place.
The admin complex is
still sitting there. So that's what I'm talking about. If you restore this place to pre-Irma conditions, you will be amazed the little difference that is, how huge it will mean, or how much it means to the people. Ellis Thomas Downs. You got a grandstand down there had been blown to bits in 2017, 6 years ago. That was not an expensive structure. It was basically not inexpensive structure. But we know that we can't rebuild it the way it was. But my God, what effort has been made to fix that? None. We have derelict yachts and boats down in the Seacoast Bay Harbor. Come on. So that's what I'm talking about when I say, if you restore this place to pre-Irma condition, even though that was 6 years ago, you would be amazed at the difference it would make.
How do we prioritize to make sure that we effectively do what is necessary to move us from one stage to the other?
Good. As far as priority is concerned, let's not consider that as part of what people would consider to be priority. That's a foregone given that has to be done. Mm-hmm. And the resources for that are there. Okay. It doesn't have to come from the Consolidated Fund, doesn't have to come from our Treasury. The British government has made available to us a facility of £300 million, $426 million in the form of a loan. In the form of loans, the guaranteed loans. We have to take advantage of that now. It is not appropriate for all people to continue to psychologically suffer and even physically suffer losses due to Hurricane Irma. And that would filter down to a lot of the private entities and people who are suffering from Hurricane Irma as well. But as I said, that's one of my goals. Any government that I sit with has to access that. But the thing is, the thing is with the loan guarantee, it is being felt that the conditions that are being put towards us getting that is virtually like selling your soul. No.
Because you may not be able to repay that loan.
Let me tell you something, Kathy. The argument that the government put forward to people is that it would cause us to breach our borrowing guidelines. That's a red herring. You give me a set of guidelines to follow. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, you're offering me something that will take me out of those guidelines. You're offering me, you're the one who's offering it to me because I'm in need. It's a disaster we're talking about. You're telling me that I have a problem? It's like approaching an intersection and there's a line, the police line there, saying do not enter. But the police is up ahead telling you to come, waving you through. And you're saying, well, I can't come because the line is there. The police there's a police line. You want him to come down and move the line and there's space for you to come. He's telling you to come through. That's all that is.
So what needs to be done now is a negotiation to make sure that with this borrowing guideline, it does not infringe on the Constitution and what is set out.
It's not a constitutional matter. It's just a about set of guidelines that we mutually agree to. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. So it's 12 pages or something like that. It's not constitutional. It's not law. It's just between us, an agreement between us. I cannot cross that line unless you say I can. And you're the one who's given me this opportunity to bail myself out of the mess that I'm in. So this guideline, push the guideline aside. I didn't go to Scotiabank and ask them to loan me $20 million that takes me across the line without the British government's consent. This is a loan guarantee that they're giving us. So it's a red herring.
Okay. Well, we've touched a lot, and I really like conversations with you because you're given, and if you notice, I allow you to speak because the wisdom comes out there. But before we wrap up today, there is a major issue that, yes, it may have existed before, but you were seeing it a whole lot more now, and that is the willingness of people to go to the polls to vote. I've been out there. I am out there on the ground, and every time we go out there, you're hearing from people that I tired of the talk, I tired of the this, and I tired of the that, so let them do what they want. I'm not voting.
That's what you're hearing?
That's what I'm hearing.
Kathy.
Especially from the younger people.
It's unfortunate that you've heard that. And we still have, the House was dissolved on March 12th, and elections are April 24th. I think the campaign actually started maybe 2 weeks ago, and we have basically 6 weeks of campaigning. Mm-hmm. So it's now, we probably got 3 weeks left, so the first 3 weeks. The cycle is short, and there's still a lot more to go because only 50% is gone, so it's half is gone, half yet to come. I think the process of educating is still there. We're still in the process of educating people. There are people who are disillusioned, yes, and they have good rights to be disillusioned. But based on my experience, they're going to come out to vote.
Okay.
They're going to come out to vote.
Okay.
And there's good reason for them to be feeling the way they do. But I'm encouraging people to come out to vote. And please, consider the issues that I've raised. Mm-hmm. They're not for Julian Fraser, because I passionately feel that given the position that I'm in right now, given the experience that I have, for me to deprive this country of the benefits of using my experience and my knowledge, my talents that I have for the House of Assembly, if I was to deprive this country of that at this particular juncture, I'll be doing the country a disservice. I cannot continue to feel good. I stopped feeling good a long time ago. Once I realized that the same thing that I am doing, being asked to do, are the same things that my parents did, which is, I think when I was a kid, still in school, graduating from high school, I think all my parents wanted to see me do, my mother, because I didn't have a father, wanted to see me do was to put on a shirt and a tie and come up to Rotong and get a job. We've long gone past that. I think that what we need to do is to look and see what our parents have gone through, what we went through as kids. I don't want your kids to go through it, which is being a second or third class citizen. When I was a kid, I was a British subject citizen of the United Kingdom. Then I became a British Overseas Territory citizen. I don't even know what I am right now, to be honest with you, because I have no say in what I am. We need to get past that, and it's time that we do. If you allow people like myself to exit the scene without moving the dial, which the dial hasn't moved, you will come along and you will begin to start from where I started. It's like going to school. When I started kindergarten, the only thing I knew when I left kindergarten is what my brother before me knew. When I got into junior standard, the only thing I knew is what my brother before me knew. First grade, second grade, third grade was the same thing. The point I'm making is that the people who came into the House of Assembly last election, the only thing they know is what I knew when I left my first term in the House of Assembly. So it's going to be a cycle and a cycle and a cycle. Let's move out. Let's move beyond that cycle. I told the new members when they came in, I said to them, you have a golden opportunity. I'm a senior here. I'm telling you guys to reach for the sky. Let your minds flow, because there's work to be done. When I got there, no one said that to me, because if you start bringing any new ideas up, yeah, the older guys will start grumbling and tell you, just come, you're there. No, that's not my philosophy. Let us move the dial. The House of Assembly, we need to build our institutions. The House of Assembly, as old as it is 72 years old. We have a standing orders that limits us. That's because it needs to be repealed and replaced. But no one is going to do it. And that's one of my objectives, to do it so that the House of Assembly can possibly do its job and do it properly. I'll give you an example. That bill that was passed in the House of Assembly at the last minute, which was to get the Police Act. The Police Act came up. Mm-hmm. So we had to, based on the public's position and outcry, we decided to put it aside. Mm-hmm. But there was one thing that the Premier kept telling me that was an urgency, and one of the reasons he wanted to move the bill forward. So I said, okay, if that's what it is, we can do that. Let's just bring a bill to the House to deal with it, and that was to get intimate substances, mm-hmm. so that it can do DNA.
Yeah.
So I went and I got the bill drafted and prepared so that I could bring it as opposition leader of the opposition. When you go to the Attorney General with it, I saw the provisions in the standing orders, but I chose not to believe that I had to be subjected to those particular provisions and standing orders. What the provisions are, that it becomes a private member's bill, which is nonsense, because the Constitution states clearly that any member of the House of Assembly can bring any bill before the House of Assembly on any matter except money matters, which is common. So if that's the case, how do I become a private member? But that's what the standing orders provide. What's a private member's bill? A private member's bill is said the Methodist Church wants something, particular piece of legislation, so that they can operate and function the way they think they should function. So they will come up with some legislation, and it has to go through public consultation for about 2 months. Mm-hmm. That's why I couldn't follow that. Go for public consultation for 2 months or so. And then they'll come to one of us in the House of Assembly and ask us to move it through the House.
Yeah.
That's a private member's bill.
Okay.
So those are the kind of things that I'm talking about. We have institutions to build. We have to get them built. For instance, the Commission of Inquiry. Commission of Inquiry in the recommendations A1, A21, and A27. A21 stated, how can you get the ministerial, the executive ministerial government to be accountable to the House of Assembly? How can you get that? As it is right now, it is expected that they be accountable to the House of Assembly, but you can't hold yourself accountable, because in the House of Assembly, it's controlled by the ministers. So how you hold yourself accountable? So that's a question that the Commission of Inquiry is asked. And they also asked in A27, should the Speaker be independent by being elected, or should he continue to be appointed by the government? So I presented to the Constitutional Review Commission, presented to the Governor, presented to the Minister for Overseas Territory, a proposal to do just that. to fix that, which is a bicameral system of government, a bicameral parliament. So these are the kind of initiatives that are pushing forward, and hoping that somewhere along the line, and those are the kind of reasons why I want to be back in the House of Assembly. I'm not going in there for any selfish reasons. Then another one that I proffered to the Constitutional Review Commission is for an electoral commission, which is going to be for, instead of the supervisor of election alone doing that, we'll have an electoral commission. And the formation of it and the constitutional mechanism for it to be elected as opposed to appointed. And by the way, this bicameral system, which would have two houses, the lower house, which is the House of Representatives, and the upper house, which would be the Senate, traditionally and commonly, whenever you talk about a Senate in the Westminster system of government, parliamentary system, those Senates, as you would see down in the Caribbean, every country has a Senate. They're all appointed members. Our Senate will be elected. I don't think that anyone with the right to make legislation should be an appointee. They should be elected by the people. And I was heartened to learn when I presented it to the Minister for the Overseas Territories. He said to me, I noticed your Senate is elected. I like that. And I'm saying to him, but that's strange. You're a member of the House of Lords. You were appointed. How could you be? No, I like the elected over system, as opposed. The leader of the opposition in the United Kingdom, the House of Commons, has put on notice that when he becomes Prime Minister, one of his objectives, one of the
things that he wants to get done is
to change the House of Lords from appointees to elected. So I'm in good standing.
Yeah, well, what a note to wrap up here today, Honorable Fraser. Don't take so long again. We all, especially in this time, we really need to hear from people like you. Persons need to come to the place where you don't look at an individual, but what they bring to the table. And this is why I always, I always tap in on what you're saying each and every time. So thank you for once again gracing us here with your presence on the big story. I wish you every good luck in getting back there to continue the work that you so desire to continue. And I want to give you the last 30 seconds to quickly speak directly to the people.
Well, everyone know what time it is. It's election time. I want to tell the people of the 3rd District how grateful I am for the 24 years, 6 terms they have put me into office. And I think that I'm presenting myself not just to you, the people of the 3rd District, but to the country. And it just so happened that in order for me to get to the country, I have to pass the country. In order for the country to get to me, they have to pass through you. And that's something that you should hold very dearly. And I will be doing those things that I've constantly have done. I stay in touch with every corner of my district regularly. If I'm sitting right here right now and I want to get some message out to the people in Parkwood Pond, I can do it from right here. I can get a message out to the people in Cocodella, from where I sit, to Collin Hill, from where I sit, to Pleasant Valley, to Hannah's, to Passon, Cherry Gut, and Albion. And Duff Bottom, Slaney, yes, all those people, I can get that message out right now, instantly, and feedback will be as rapid. So I stay in touch with you, and don't mind the noise. People are concerned that, oh, I'm a loner and I'm running and I'm going back in the opposition. No, I'm going to be a part of the next government. Trust me when I tell you that.
Thank you so much, Honorable Fraser. We hear you. I want to thank you for taking time out to join us here for the election special of The Big Story. I'm Kathy Richards.